We're watching every Adam Sandler film to see if they still hold up. This week, we watched Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love is an artsy film starring a young Sandman and Emily Watson in an anxiety-inducing romantic drama. It's got some goofs, and it's also got some of the heaviest portrayals of a man living with social anxiety I think I've ever seen on the silver screen. He manages to get caught up in a phone sex line scam that endangers not only his life, but the life of his new love interest. This movie established Adam Sandler as not just the guy that makes movies in Hawaii with cargo shorts, and it is a bombastic piece of art that even the critics agree is great.
We play a game of Adam Sandler themed bingo around here. Up on screen right now are our bingo squares for this week, and if you'd like to play along, hey, the link's in the description. Go make a bingo
a bingo card. We pull the next movie we're going to watch at the end of the episode. But for this, Mac, I did not score bingo. I got
sucked in there.
I scored one bingo square, and that was Sandler Screams. At a point where he's being chased by a bunch of men, and he's just like wheezing. Wheezing out of his mouth. That is the only bingo square I got. If I gotten fart joke, I would have gotten a bingo, but no fart jokes in this movie, unfortunately.
I got a bingo this week. I got it on the diagonal, and I got a couple of squares. I had Sandler Screams, as we've just mentioned. I also had a party scene, and I had a fight scene.
Yo, what a fight scene it was. Well done, Mac.
Hey, thank you so much.
You beat me this time around.
Let's get into highlights and lowlights. So the movie started a little bit as a low light for me, in that there was a dramatic car crash that was unresolved, unspoken about for the rest of the movie. It was random, as a lot of the movie was, but everything else seemed to have been tied up in a neat bow except for the car crash.
I don't know, but doesn't that like frame the film as like, this is, you're entering an absurd world that is just from Adam Sandler's character's head. I love that it starts off with that car crash, because it's like, you don't know what to expect. This man's head is a hurricane, and that's how it sets off.
It definitely gave the indication that he's a little bit emotionless at times. And so, yeah, for that, it was achieved. I would have just liked to know if it was real or fantasy world or no. I guess the absurdist element. I don't know, you could slap absurdist on anything, but I would like to have an answer. Okay.
Yeah, I actually had the start of a film as a highlight. I think it just starts so well. He's just a peculiar little guy on the phone, and he's going back and forth between his office. He's not really sure what's going on. I thought it was a really strong and interesting start.
It was one of those arty film intros where you don't know where it's going to go, and you really just have to buckle in and watch the whole movie to get your payoff.
Yeah, it hooks you.
I
think it's a good hook. It's like, oh, what was that? What? I want to see what happens next. I'll say it right now, I only had highlights for this film. I had 0 lowlights. I really loved the experience with this one. Another one I had was when he gets the harmonium, and he just starts like symphonizing his life. Just really tells you are going to be following this man for the whole 90 minutes, and you are going to experience everything that he experiences in his head.
The movie does take place primarily at the start in his office building, which we find out he's a plunger salesman.
Yeah.
And there's this real Elon Musk Cybertruck moment with the plunger, which is hilarious.
Unbreakable handle, finally. Let me demonstrate for you. Okay, this was one of the old ones.
That was absolutely fantastic. And then we move on to getting introduced to some of his world, which is his sisters. And his sisters, from his perspective...
7 sisters.
Cold, invasive, and they just pry into his social life and seem to have no belief that he could function as an adult by himself. And they are some of the most annoying characters I think I've ever been introduced to.
A highlight of mine was how from the very start of the film, it was like building to this 20-30 minute point of just all of his like rage accumulating, where he smashes 3 glass doors at one of his sister's birthday parties. From our perspective, you could totally see that coming. It just builds up until he has a fit of rage.
His sisters were truly quite awful. Again, this movie is completely from his perspective.
Yeah.
And to the director's absolute credit and the whole crew that was on this film, it's so anxiety inducing. Everything that is a little bit intense and might induce a little bit of anxiety for Adam Sandler's character is induced for us.
Yeah.
So you really feel, whether it's the score or the way it's shot, you feel the anxiety across the whole movie. And it was one of those movies where my stomach was in a knot the whole way through.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful painting of his character. The film is accompanied by these kind of VHS like visuals made by this man. We'll put him up on screen now. And it's just, even the lens flares have this blue tinge to it. So it's just so like, just a real portrait of Sandler's character, beautifully directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah. The way Joel pitched this movie to me, because Joel had seen it before I hadn't, was, it's this beautiful rom-com. But there was romance in it for sure, and there was very dark humor. But no, I wouldn't call it a rom-com.
I'd definitely call it a rom-com. Let's go.
I almost called it a thriller. The way I was just on the edge of my seat the whole movie. But we move. There was a very funny moment that, now that I say that, he's speaking to one of the only people he can think of who might be able to alleviate him of his anxiety. And he says to him, I don't like myself. And the guy responds with,
Mary, I'm a dentist.
Comedy. It's a comedy.
That was very funny, and your heart just breaks for Adam Sandler because the situation he's in, the family dynamic he's in, awfully uncomfortable.
It leads him to go, and he sees an ad in the newspaper for a phone sex number. So he calls them up, and he gives them all of his information, social security, credit card. You can just see this man getting conned.
Yep.
And I had that scene as a highlight because that entire scene plays out of him pacing around his apartment
And it's
on
a
this
one
phone.
shot.
Yeah, it's a one shot the
Yeah.
entire time, from calling up the operator to getting on the phone with the phone sex worker, and then it's the entire conversation playing out until hang up, all in the same shot,
and
imperfections and all.
It hurts to watch. That scene is just so raw. You really feel like you're a fly on the wall and you shouldn't be in the room for it, but you're watching and you can't stop watching. And this was a hook and a twist I just didn't see coming, and my God, through me.
So this leads to Adam Sandler getting continuously conned by this lady who is revealed to be working for Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, R.I.P., who plays this just like they send guys to go rough him up, to go extort him for money, and just like the way they come into the world and they play into Adam Sandler's like anxiety and just people coming in and roughing up his life. It's crazy.
And now we also have to keep in mind here, they balance this beautifully, by the way, in the movie, but there are multiple other plots happening at the same time. There is a romance happening with one of his sister's work friends that he ends up actually falling for. There's also the plot of there is a coupon deal going on to get you extra frequent flyer miles that he's trying to take advantage of.
Yeah, by buying little cups of pudding rather than the bigger items they're trying to push with this promotion. And
it becomes a massive part of the storyline, oddly, but still works, which does, again, highlight the workings of his brain.
Yeah, it's like all framed within this like pursuit of his newfound love. Then all of these other things just come in to like try and spear tackle his brain along the way. And there's this beautiful scene of where he starts smashing up a bathroom, and the sound mixing in that scene is crazy. Everything is absolutely boosted up the wazoo as he smashes up the room, and it's amazing.
Is the best contrast of having him be emotionless, like at times when the car crashes at the start of the movie, he shows no emotion, and then he'll just go either slam the glass or he'll break the bathroom, or the people he's trying to con, he'll beat the shit out of.
Yeah.
God, that was a great come up. He just came out of nowhere and started swinging. My goodness, was it a good look.
It's the power of love, baby. It's a very impulsive character. He very much chases what he wants and goes there, like bludgeoningly goes into situations. But it's like you feel for him. You see what he's trying to do. He just keeps getting kind of like smacked down along the way.
Yeah, but you can see him starting to break the chains and escape a little. And he does so by flying to Hawaii because his love interest has gone there. And also,
after one date,
he's also being tracked down by these people that are trying to beat him to shreds and take everything from him.
Yeah.
So he manages to escape with his miles, or maybe he doesn't use the miles in this stage.
No, he can't use the miles, so he just spends upfront money to get over to Hawaii.
There's this funny scene of him just running down the hallway to board the plane ahead of everybody, including all the workers, because he's just so anxious to get out of America to Hawaii and get to his love. And when we get to Hawaii is my favorite scene of the goddamn movie, because he calls his sister asking, where is my love interest staying? And she just won't give him the answer. And so finally he says this.
Your f***ing number,
Okay.
You f***ing hear me?
Yes.
I'm sick of this f***ing shit.
Very.
Stop f***ing treating me this way and give me your f***ing number. I'll f***ing kill you. You want that?
So fucking good. He just tears her a new one, and that's exactly what I wanted the whole movie. Get some.
Oh, that is funny. But the romance that he's chasing is very sweet. That's why I say it's a lovely rom-com, because the two, Emily Watson and Adam Sandler's characters, they're just like perfect puzzle piece fits.
Yes.
Like they're just the perfect characters for each other. So it's so sweet to watching him chase this. And once we get towards the end of the film, where he goes and tracks down Philip Seymour Hoffman because his henchmen got both Adam and Emily into this car crash that almost took her life.
Yeah.
And he just goes there and is just like, he says this.
I have a love in my life. It makes me stronger than anything you can imagine.
And that's the moment where I got misty-eyed because I realized, okay, this movie is slightly a romance movie despite how kooky it is.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's crazy. It's a real poignant piece. It's very finely tuned into what it wants to be, and it's just a bombastic, loud, crazy character piece about this man that Adam Sandler plays.
I would say this. I would not recommend this to watch it on a date night as a beautiful rom-com.
Maybe after the first few months of dating.
Calling it a rom-com as it's listed online, it's a rom-com drama. It's definitely a romance drama, erring a lot more on the side of drama, because the world exists a lot in this whole sex line operation where he's trying to get the people trying to extort him.
He's getting conned
out of a lot of money. The romance is a B plot to that, and it ends up becoming the finale of the movie and its purpose. But absolutely, this movie is a thriller in my heart. I felt thrilled the whole time.
So much fun. The choices, even in that car crash towards the end, just like the sound cutting out, and you're in that moment of shock and horror.
It is bizarre, and there was a comment that was left on our account, and it was about how he does something so beautiful like Punch Drunk Love, but then dons the cargo shorts and heads right back to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And starts doing grown-ups movies again, which was so bizarre because we really did see this beautiful pocket of Adam Sandler's acting prowess. And it seemed like the movie was almost written for him, that quiet, softly spoken man. It was
specially written for him. And this was the first film that wasn't like a negatively reviewed comedy that Sandler went in. This is like the first time we saw his acting chops finally written for him by Paul Thomas Anderson. Right off the back of Magnolia. People were like, what are you doing a rom-com with Adam Sandler? And it's like, but it's so good.
Especially after watching The Cobbler last week, when it really felt like Adam Sandler just phoned it in.
Yeah.
Phoned it in something
He has
fierce.
so much potential.
And I think it's fun to know, really, I know some people are mad about it, it's fun to know Adam Sandler's had it in him all along, but has actively decided to take all his friends to Hawaii and play basketball. That is awesome.
And man's just having so much fun. Well, I'm happy to wrap up
Let's rate it.
Give my final rating. This film, and this will probably be the only time I say this in this Sandpit adventure we're on, but it was a 10 out of 10 for me. I loved this shit. Everything about it is just so juicy, so interesting. So I got the Blu-ray on order right after we finished watching.
I just got so overwhelmed that to crack my neck there. Holy dooly. 10, huh? Don't do this, folks. At home that maybe you're new here to the Sharehouse, subscribe, please, and thank you before I give my rating. Joel doesn't do this. This is an honor for me to witness live, and now you
What
get
can I
the
say?
ripped
It's
rewards.
a brilliant film.
I had a great time watching it. Reading through my notes, it made me relive the movie, and I enjoyed it a second time round. Wasn't a 10 in my eyes, but maybe it's because the Adam Sandler movies I like are the shittier ones. But this was still a very strong 8 for me. This is a beautiful 8 for 10. I really enjoyed it, despite it being kooky. It definitely had a long build up at the start, but the payoff, especially, I've said it before, I'll say it again, of him yelling at his sister after they just held him down. That anxiety was so real and relatable coming from an Italian family guy. Not that they held me down and made me feel like shit, but the loud environment of those family dynamics and how overwhelmed you can feel, that was so relatable.
So played up in the film too.
They did. It was a beautiful portrayal of a man with anxiety. Absolutely stunning. They didn't tell you he had anxiety. They showed you every step of the way in a different way that I've never seen before. It was a strong 8 for me. Strong 8, as Fantano would say, strong 8, light 9.
Yeah, Sandler just fits so well into. He played it brilliantly.
But we're not done yet, folks. We have to pull the next movie for next week's episode.
So let's Get the Mikey D hat and let's do a pull. I don't know if it's your turn to pull, but you're gonna pull this time.
I'm going in, all right.
Oh shit.
This week we have for ourselves Spaceman
Yo,
2024.
that's the newest one, right?
I believe so.
Oh my god, we're going right back to the present day.
We're intense again. So we've gone from a Punch Drunk Love intense to, I believe, a Spaceman intense film. I'm excited.
I know so little about this. I'm excited too.
As a sci-fi lover as well, big sci-fi lover, I'm excited to see what Adam Sandler does going into the great beyond.
Well, let's go. Thank you for watching. And
Subscribe. Hey,
make sure to tell someone you love them today.
subscribe.
Bye.